You're listening to Coach Mike on the mic. Let's talk hoops. A podcast that brings hoop fans together and their stories to life. Coach Michael Herrera is a Texas high school basketball coach with 3 state Final Four appearances and a lifelong fan of the game. He'll sit down with coaches, players, and fans to share stories, game perspectives, X's and O's, and lessons learned along the way. Now, let's talk hoops.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Coach Mike on the mic. Today I had the pleasure of sitting down with one of my own basketball players, Keenan Gumbs. His story is one that all basketball fans can appreciate. There's never been a single path to success, but rather many trips to the adversity table. And Keenan's story is definitely proof of that. From freshman B team to being cut, from Division III to Division I, and from the NCAA tournament to now touring professional hoops in Europe, Keenan is the epitome of what hard work and humility can do for you. I hope you enjoyed this episode with my man, Keenan Gumbs. All right, well, welcome Keenan Gumbs to the Coach Mike on the mic. Let's talk hoops. This is another episode. I get to sit down with one of my ex-basketball players, Keenan Gumbs, which, Keenan, man, I'm so excited to sit down and talk with you for a lot of reasons. As a basketball coach for now 15 years at Steele High School, coaching AAU basketball, coaches always have stories to tell. But, man, being able to sit down and talk with you and let you tell your version of the story, I'm excited because I've always talked about you, but to hear it from you is definitely a treat. So, Keenan, thanks for joining me on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
And now it's time for Layup Lines.
So, what I like to do is at the beginning of my podcast, I like to start off with what I call layup lines. Layup lines is just a chance for both of us to kind of warm up a little bit, just like you would in a basketball game. So I'm gonna ask you 5 quick questions, man, and then you'll shoot 5 back at me, and then we'll kind of get started with the podcast. Is that good?
All right, sir.
All right, man. Here we go. Question number 1: if Keenan could be in any movie, all right, any movie, what movie would you be in?
Any movie. It would have to be something based on a true story and like a thriller. I wouldn't say I don't have a direct exact movie that I would say, but it has to be something that is based on a true story for sure.
All right. Are you the star? Are you the star like person, or are you like a cast member in the movie?
I think I could be a star actor. I think I can get it done.
All right. Question number 2. So growing up as a kid, man, who was your favorite basketball player that you wanted to be like?
Well, I have 2, I would say. Kevin Garnett and Vince Carter, for sure.
All right. Why those guys?
Favorites. KG, his intensity, his passion. I think that's where I get it from. Also, KG, his initials, that's me as well, Keenan Gumbs. So I always admired him. I love the way he played and just his grit and grind. I model my game after that. And Vince Carter too, his flash, his flair when he was young, especially. But then he extended his career by switching his role as a vet and became like one of the best 3-point shooters. So those are my 2 for sure.
All right. Question number 3, your favorite basketball movie?
Basketball movie. Coach Carter or More Than a Game. Okay. Even though that's LeBron's, right? LeBron, More Than a Game?
I think so, yeah.
I'm not a big LeBron guy, but I love that movie. But then Coach Carter definitely is a classic.
Coach Carter's always a go-to, man. You got those road trips on the charter buses, man. Pop that thing in, and you're good for 2 hours.
For sure.
All right. So here's something that might throw you off a little bit, but what is your most useless talent or hidden talent?
Useless?
Yeah. Just what's something crazy that you can do that no one would ever know?
there's a lot of things that I wish I could do. But something
But it's a talent that you have, man,
that I can do
that no one knows about. Like, for example, I asked this question, and then one of the guys said that, you know, he taught himself how to play the piano, right? Like, I didn't know that the dude could do that. So I wouldn't say that's useless, but, like, do you have, like, a hidden talent, dude?
I don't think so. Nothing that's useless. I wish I could play the piano. I started for about a year, my senior year of college, and I wish I continued that. But I don't think I have a useless talent.
All right,
that's
man.
super interesting, you know.
All right, let's flip this then. Let's flip this. What is something about you that no one would ever know?
Something about me that nobody would ever know. I can come off as an extrovert and like a sociable person, but I'm really like to do a lot of things by myself. I'm pretty shy for the most part, but I mean, some people don't get that vibe and would say otherwise, but that's who I think I am. Definitely more shy, introverted. I do a lot of things on my own, spend a lot of time on my own. So I guess I would say that.
Shoot, I would never say that, you know, especially when you were a freshman, you were loud and vocal. Yeah, I would never think that you were introverted, but there you go. That's good. All right, one more question for you. So you're sitting in my seat right now, right? And it's not called Coach Mike on the mic. It's called, you know, Coach Gumbs on the mic. Who would you be sitting here wanting to talk to? Anybody. I mean, just anybody that you would want to sit down and have a podcast interview with.
Probably Obama.
Okay.
I would definitely want to talk to Obama, being like a black leader in this day and age, especially, you know, now you have like the civil rights leaders and, you know, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, people that are kind of polarizing figures back in the day. But in like the 2000s, there's not many of those, if they're not, you know, entertainers. And Obama is one, like a new generation type of leader. And I would definitely want to have a conversation with him and, you know, see how he handled the 8 years of the presidency and all the grit and grind that goes behind the scenes that nobody can ever fathom.
Yeah.
And that'd be for sure.
Shoot, you'd probably be able to talk some hoops because he's a big hoops fan too.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe I need to add him to my list.
Yeah, you probably get him on the list.
I'll have to put him on the list, man, as a wishful interviewee, man. So, yeah. All right, well, man, there's my 5 for you, Keenan. It's your turn. Shoot away, man.
All right, my first one. Who's your hero or your biggest role model?
Man, when you say, golly, I'll go the route of, you know what? I'll do this. I'll answer your question on hero. My hero is always a person who stands for something bigger than themselves. You mentioned, you know, leaders like you just did with Martin Luther King, and I always like to talk about Nelson Mandela personally. But any leader that stood for something or stands for something that's bigger than themselves because they know it's right. Those people always strike me as heroes because it takes a lot of guts and courage to stand up and speak out when sometimes people don't want to hear it, you know, but they know what's right and they're passionate about it. But I would also throw in the same mix anybody that serves our country. So like military people, my father was in the Navy, and anybody that serves this country, again, because they know it's right. I can't ever see myself as a soldier, right? Because that takes a lot of courage, and I'm not saying that I don't have courage, man. So I just look up to people that serve a better good.
Okay. Second one, biggest fear.
My biggest fear actually was squashed, man. And I just actually answered this a little while ago. When I was, my wife and I have been married for 10 years, and we wanted to live life and travel and go to Europe and go on cruises and have vacations like no other before we had kids. Because once we had kids, we wanted that to be our focus. And I love kids, man. I love children. I always wanted to have a family of my own. And I actually had a fear of not being able to have kids. It was my own fear, right? Fears are in your head, right?
Yeah.
I was once told that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. And so like in your head, you make it real. And so I always thought, man, I was like that. What do you call it? When like you think about something so much that you think it's going to become true. What's that called, man? Not divine
Like,
intervention, but
like manifesting something, or
sure. I mean, so you get what I'm saying, right? So like I was
yeah.
manifesting it in my head that I wasn't going to be able to have kids. And then, man, my wife and I got pregnant right away. And that was just like it squashed all my fears. And then we got pregnant again with my daughter. So that was an honest fear, man, that I had in my life. I don't fear that now. But I gave it legs, and it grew roots, and it just became my truth, even though it was just a fear, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Good question, man.
Sure. Kind of goes on to what you kind of asked me, but a different avenue. What hobbies or talents do you wish you had more time for?
Oh, man, that's a great question. So what year did you graduate, Keenan?
High school?
Yeah.
14.
Okay, 2014. So,
Yeah.
man, I can't remember, but there was a student here at Steele High School. You probably don't know him. He was one of the first graduating classes here at Steele High School. And long story short, man, he reached out to me a couple of times, came in, was a guest speaker to my students, and played this musical instrument called a handpan. Handpan was invented in 2008 in Switzerland. And it's basically like a steel drum that looks like a UFO. And he's playing this thing, and I had the lights off in my classroom, and the kids had their heads down, and we were just kind of meditating to what he was playing because I taught counseling and mental health. Fast forward, man, he reaches out again. I'm in the weight room in the new field house here on campus, and he sends me a message. He's like, hey, Coach Herrera, I'm coming in town from Arkansas, man. I want to come see you again. I was like, okay, cool, man. You bring in the handpan. You can play for my kids or whatever. But I don't teach that class anymore, so maybe you can go do it for a teacher down the hall. He's like, no, man, I'm coming to hang out with you. Like, I don't care about everybody. Yeah. I'm like, you're driving down here from Arkansas to hang out with me? Like, what you talking about? He's like, yeah, I just want to visit. I was like, all right, cool. Well, he told me he was dying of cancer, and he had 2 months to live. And so he drove all the way down here and gave me his musical instrument. It's like a $3,000 musical instrument called a handpan. And something that people don't know about me is I've got this real like quiet, chill, introvert kind of like way of just hanging out by myself. And I've always wanted to be able to like go on my back patio, go in my backyard, go in the garage and just play either like a saxophone or just some kind of musical instrument for me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because I'm not musically inclined. I don't know how to play music. I don't know how to read music. But the cool thing about it, it's just a handpan. So it's like dropping a beat on your desk or something. Like you totally just improvise. But if I could have any wish, it would be to play that handpan like a pro.
What sport or career would you like to do other than coaching or basketball?
Like what other sport or career would I pursue?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have to be a sport? Like that's what I would do?
Oh, no, you don't. It doesn't have to be sport.
Okay, so you're truly saying like, would you choose a sport, or what career would you choose if I was not in what I'm currently at right now? I would probably go back to my ultimate dream as a kid. So when I was your age, actually I say your age, when I was in high school, my dream was always to become an NBA physician. So, I mean, I knew my hopes and my dreams of being in the NBA. Like, that's just not going to happen. But that's everybody's dream, right? It's everybody's dream to play in the NBA. So I knew that wasn't going to happen early on in high school. But I still loved the game and wanted to play college. But, man, my ultimate dream was always to be in the NBA as a team doctor. So if I were to choose any other career than what I'm doing now, I'd go back to medical school and I'd become a physician. And then I'd be like whether it's NBA or NCAA, I'd want to be like a team physician.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Last thing, what is your favorite thing about your current career? Like the most rewarding part for you?
Man, I'll tell you what, and we're going to touch on that a little bit in this podcast interview. But for me, man, I know it's everybody always wants to talk X's and O's, and we want to chase wins and championships, and we want to rings, and we want to hang banners and all that kind of stuff, and that's good. But that's far and few between. And there's so many schools and there's so many coaches and so many programs that never have a chance to raise a banner. They're never gonna wear a ring, you know. So what do we do as coaches, man? We're here to ultimately develop relationships with these young men like yourself, model for them what it's like to be a grown man, instill qualities like community service and philanthropy, and just how to be a responsible young adult. And through the game of basketball, that's what I get to do. So my reward as a basketball coach is getting to be able to sit down and talk with your ex-players like I am right now, being invited to weddings, baby showers, you know, guys that come back years after just to catch a game, you know. That's the reward that I get out of coaching basketball. It's a good question, man. Good question. All right, man. Well, you shot 5 back, so let's go ahead and get started here. Like, obviously, I know you very well, but the audience here, I mean, I've got people that listen all over the country right now. I've been kind of getting messages from people that I've met through social media or just my coaching network. So people don't know Keenan Gumbs. So if you can, just go ahead and talk a little bit about your childhood, like where you grew up and when you started playing sports and basketball.
All right. So my name is Keenan Gumbs. I'm a military kid. Both my parents served in the Air Force. When I have an older sister. She played basketball at Rice University, also went to Steele. And when both of us were born, my mom stopped being active duty, but my dad continued active duty until they both retired in like 2006, 2007. So we moved around quite a bit. I was born in Japan. Then I lived in Panama City, and then I lived in Vegas, and then Cibolo. And Cibolo, I claim as home no matter where I am now, because that was my longest stay. We were there from 2005 to 2018. So that's what I call home. And that definitely has shaped me, you know, being a military kid, always being in a different environment, being around all different types of people. And I think it's really helped me out. And with my current career, you know, playing basketball overseas, like it's definitely helped me out being used to these kind of situations, like being away from family and being solo. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So when did you start playing basketball?
When I started playing basketball, my whole life, I guess. You know, I always playing basketball. I wasn't very good at any other sports. And I wasn't that good at basketball, like growing up either. So I played flag football growing up, but that was about it. I was too scared to play tackle because when I moved to Texas, everybody was bigger than me, and I was just a little scrawny kid, so I couldn't do it. So
did you do anything else? Did you play soccer, baseball, t-ball, anything else?
I played t-ball for like one game, and I quit because I hated it. My dad always tells me I was in the outfield just kicking rocks because I didn't want to be there. So, and baseball was his thing, so it was pretty bad for him. He was upset because he was a baseball guy, and I just did not like it at all. I wish if there was one sport that I could play, it'd be soccer. Like I admire soccer so much that I think it's so cool. Like you can give me a soccer ball and put me in like a box room, and I'll have the grand time. But I can't play. I'm so bad. Like I have no coordination with my feet. It's really bad.
That's crazy, man. No, like, growing up as a kid for me, man, it was I love soccer. Growing up as a kid, playing golly probably from first grade all the way, and I played 1 year in high school, and then I played intramurals in college, and it was fun to get up and down the field again. But never really got into baseball. I love to pitch, but man, with club sports, you know, you got to pay money for that kind of stuff, and family couldn't afford to play club. So I didn't even play club basketball either. So But no, man, that's cool, man. I forgot that you were born in Japan because I remember you telling me that. But I completely forgot about that, man. So now you're overseas living in Sweden, right? So it's kind of like you're a world traveler, man. This is right up your alley, man. But we'll kind of get there in just a second. But so you moved to Cibolo, right? You went to Dobie Middle School, and then came to Steele High School. So I want you to kind of tell me a little bit about high school, just memories, stories, whatever you want to share, and how basketball played into that, right? Freshman basketball. I mean, we're going to go there, man. The whole purpose of this podcast is because I've told this story so many times. You are the epitome of a basketball story that will be forever told, whether I'm at Steele or not. And I want you to kind of share your version of the story in your high school years, and we'll leave it at that, and we'll kind of touch college here in a little bit.
All right, so just strictly kind of basketball. Freshman year, eighth grade at Dobie, I was on the B team the whole time. We were really good.
And share for the audience how tall you were and how much you weighed.
Okay, yeah. So freshman year, eighth grade count was kind of the same. I was like 5'3", 5'4", like 110 pounds. I tell people that all the time. They never believe it. But yeah, that was interesting. So freshman year, I was always in the eighth period. I thought we were gonna have a good season. I thought I was gonna make the A team and everything, but you put me on the B team. And I'll never forget this. You said I had A team talent but B team size at the time. And I was like, all right, I feel like that was just an excuse. But, I did my time. I played well. You actually moved me up. And then all I remember, I actually played a little bit, but I just remember we were just like 500, like just maybe below 500. And Judson, I always remember playing Judson when they were freshmen, they were undefeated the whole year, like 37-0. And I still have friends like that went there, and I know them, and they just ran through us. I remember them blowing us out by like 60 at Steele. So that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'm always passionate about the game, and I thought I was good enough to do so, but I really didn't have that much of I didn't know how to work, I guess you would say. I mean, I'm 13, 14 years old, so you shouldn't really expect anybody to know how to, really grind to be a basketball player. And that's all a part of the journey is, going through those ups and downs and learning and from those lessons. So sophomore year.
Hey, before you go to your sophomore year, just give the audience, were you one of the fastest guys on the team, or were you kind of slow?
No, I was slow.
Okay.
I was slow.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it because you were not just short, you were skinny, and you were slow.
Yeah. Slow, short, skinny, weak, all that. Like, just was not cut out at the time. So sophomore year, I grew to maybe like 5'6", 5'7", and I remember this. So that freshman year summer, going into sophomore year, I didn't play AAU basketball. I was on the San Antonio Roadhawks for like a couple years, probably like 3 years, and then I took that summer off because I didn't have a team, and I eventually joined the Texas Tigers the next couple years. But that summer, all I remember, I was playing Call of Duty, playing video games, UFC, drinking soda like every day, drinking a bunch of juice. And I was just being a kid. And the whole summer, I didn't do much about basketball. And then going into sophomore year, we have tryouts first week of school at Steele. And I was not confident with how I was doing. And I knew something was up. And I remember, you got the sheet on your outside of your office, and my name was literally the last one on the list. And I was sweating just going up there because I was like, I did not do that well, And my name was the last one on the list. So I made JV. All right, and then I don't know if there was like an asterisk next to it.
I was going to ask you. I was like, was there a star next to your name?
I think there was a star next to my name. So
all right.
I made, so that was even interesting. My name's the last one on the list, and there's an asterisk or a star next to my name. So I'm like, man, I barely made it. So you talked to me. Maybe it was like during the season. So I played JV for like a couple games, probably like 5 games or so. And then the football team finished their season. So the people in our grade came down. And of course, they're way better athletes. They're huge. They're probably better basketball players at the time. And then you put me on the practice squad. So that really kind of flipped the switch for me.
Do you remember that conversation?
I mean, not really. I just remember.
I remember it. I remember that conversation.
How did it go?
It was in the small gym on the far side, right inside the 3-point line, dude. I'm telling you, like, I can visualize it right now. Because
oh man,
you're old enough now, you understand, like, as a basketball coach, like, your worst day, it's not just coach talk. Like, your worst day is having to tell a kid no.
Yeah.
Your worst day after that is in this situation, the conversation I had to have with you. That's tough. Like, as a coach, like, and as a man, I can tell you now, because you're much older now, like, coaches hate those conversations because, like, we're essentially breaking your heart. Like, we're destroying your dreams. Everything about the game of basketball that you love, it's like squashed and it's depressed. And we know that, but we still have to do our job and do it. So when I was having that face-to-face conversation with you, man, I'll never forget the face that you had, because your whole face just went south. And like the life was just sucked out of you. But then by the end of the conversation, and although that was back, what year was that, your sophomore year? That's like what, 2011 maybe?
11, yeah.
All right. So the word bet wasn't out there yet, right?
Yeah.
But if it were, that's what you would have said then. Because by the end of the conversation, what I saw in your eyes was, all right, bet. Right? So that's what I remember about that conversation, because in the beginning you were destroyed, but by the end I just saw something in your face that just kind of flipped. You were like, all right, I got you. All right, so go ahead.
I can see that because right after that, I went straight to the locker room and I told everybody, and I was angry. Like, I was mad. I was punching lockers. Like, it was that brought something out of me that I didn't even know I had. So I got really, really upset. I said a few things that I shouldn't have said.
I bet, yeah.
But, I mean, it's in the moment. Like, that I can't get mad at that. And I remember going home and told my dad, and he kind of was quiet for a while, but then he just kind of said, what you gonna do about it? Like, we're gonna sit here. Is this something you want to do? Like, with basketball, you want to keep doing it? Or are you gonna sit here and cry and sulk, or are we gonna, put in some work? So I still had the opportunity to, practice, and that's what I took so much pride in those practices. We played the girls team as well. We were pretty much their dummies for half the season. But yeah, I mean, even as a freshman, I always challenge people. I still do it, like, to this day. Especially big man. There's something about big man.
Hey,
that
hey,
I just
you and Austin Henry.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when you were a freshman, and I don't even know how tall Austin Henry was as a freshman, 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Right? And you were this 5'3", 5'4", nothing. And I'll never forget you grabbing Austin by his jersey. And you were like, I don't know what you were saying, but you grabbed his jersey, you were looking up at him, and you were yelling something at him. So yeah, go ahead.
There's something about big men that always challenge this. Maybe just jealousy that I'm not that tall. So I just always like to challenge them. And that's what I kind of do on the court, and especially that the end of the season. in practice, I just took it to heart that I'm about to prove to you that I'm about to turn this around, and you're gonna regret this decision. So that's kind of how I took that. And I remember you offered the last game of the season for San Marcos. You offered us. It was me, Daniel Reisner. I don't remember. There's somebody else also on the practice team, but I remember me and Daniel for sure. And you offered us to suit up to play the last game of the season.
And what'd you tell me?
I said, heck no, I'm not. I felt so disrespected. And I was like, there's no way I'm about to put on a jersey. I was like, absolutely not. That was personal for me. So I was just like, I'll see you next year. And that summer is just different. I remember my mom, she worked on Randolph on the Air Force Base, and she goes into work like 7 a.m. So I would go with her. When she went to work, she'd drop me off at the gym, and I literally just stay there all day, like until she got off of work, or until somebody else had a ride and took me home. So I was pretty much there every day. I was barely eating. Now that I think about it, like, how did I do that? But she just dropped me off at the gym. I remember I would sit there. I would do like form flicks, and I do it from 5 spots, and I had to do like 50 swishes at each spot. So I got like 250 form flick swishes before I even started my day. And that might be a little too much, but that's just what I was doing. Especially when you're there that early, there's nobody in the gym, so you got to fill up some time.
Yep.
So that's what I was in there by myself, listening to music, just getting after it, whatever came to my mind. And I remember that whole summer, I was coming for you. Like, I'm coming for that decision that you made, and I'm gonna make you think twice. And I even posted it. It's still on my Instagram. If you go on my Instagram, you can search it. So I'll look at it right now. I posted before the school year started.
This is going into your junior year?
Going into junior year. I posted a picture of a basketball, and my caption was, August 28th, 11:30 a.m., what I've been waiting for all summer. I said, oh, Coach Herrera going to be so mad. I swear, you can look at it right now. You follow me on Instagram, you can go see it. So Carlos was my best friend, right? We're still pretty good friends. But I thought you loved him. You loved Carlos. And he was always in front of me. So I was like, I'm going to make a mission that I'm better than Carlos, and I'm going to show you, because I'm like, you're going to be mad that I'm better than Carlos because Carlos was your guy. But even though he's still my homie, but I was like, I'm better than him, and he shouldn't be in the position I am. So that year, especially that week of tryouts, I was the most vocal I've ever been in my entire life. And I was letting you know, like, every time I did something, I was yelling. I remember Tavon Lundy. Me and him were on the team, on the same team for the most part of the tryout. And me and him were just, we were clicking and going off. And we played AAU together as well. So it was, we were going off, and I was letting the whole gym know that I was doing something good. Like, if I was making a play, defensive play. And what do you know? And, made varsity that year and got some run. We got some run, but playoffs didn't play a lick. I think we played like 10 seconds of the playoffs, but we were a good team. I was behind CJ. CJ was balling out, and we made state that year. And that was fun to be a part of, just that whole run. And especially not having to play, you're not going to play, you're going to have so much more fun because, there's no responsibility. So me, Tony, Justin Gage, rest in peace, Justin Gage, and who else was on the bench? Denzel. we were on Javon too. We called it the baseline ballers. That was our crew in practice and everything. And Eric Lambert also was on the bench with us. We took pride in being the bench players, the role players, and just had fun. And we also had another group So we had the baseline ballers, or the people who really are not gonna play, and then the sideline affiliates were the ones that got to get in the game every once in a while, but for the most part, you're on the sideline. So that's what the name was our little crew that year, and we had so much fun with that.
And that was our first state run.
Yep, first state run.
2013.
Got whooped by South Grand Prairie. I remember I was talking. So my teammate and my roommate here in Sweden, he's from the Dallas area. He graduated 2013, and he knows everybody that we used to play and everything. And we also have played in the same gym back in the day in AAU. I remember I was telling a story about an AAU team that I used to play. He's like, that was my team, and that was the gym I was playing in. And so it's crazy how small this world is, like, for us to not even know each other in Texas, and then now we meet up and living together in Sweden. So that's really weird. So junior year, that happens. We have a great year as a team. And then going that summer, my AU coach, David Henry, he really instilled a lot of confidence in me that summer. And he let me kind of just really explore my game and really just helped me just be free. And all these years of, really trying to bust my butt to prove myself, now I had an opportunity, put the ball in my hands and, try to do some things and learn my game. And he loved, the work I put in, and he really helped me out for sure. So I had a good, summer that year. And going into senior year, we made varsity again next year, starting. And me and Austin were the primary roles on the team, leading scorers. And we didn't perform very well. I think that we had a lot of talent, but we just didn't click together. There was a lot of, I want to do this, a lot of like personal agendas that year, I think. But we're all really good friends, but on the court, we just did not work that year at all. I don't know what it was. But we made it to second round playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, it's hard to rebound after making it to the state, and everyone's got expectations of getting there again, and that's the hard thing. And honestly, that's kind of what I feel like sometimes plagues us a little bit, is when we've been to state, these 3 times, it's that next year that everyone expects to go there again, but then they have these personal agendas. I got to get mine. I got to get mine. I got to get mine. And like the best teams that are going to win state, they don't care about mine. They care about getting that ring, and it's about playing together as a team. And so that's been our biggest hurdle, is trying to get kids to respond to play as a team. Hang on a second. Instead of playing for themselves,
Mm-hmm. And so with that, my AAU career, so I wasn't really good. I was a late bloomer. So, you know how it goes with AAU and D1 recruiting and stuff. Even any recruiting, a lot happens early, like sophomore year, like freshman, sophomore year is when people get on the radar and people start receiving offers that early. And I had absolutely nothing. And going into senior year. And senior year, we tried to do this college promoters thing. It really kind of was a waste of time and money. Just they made a highlight tape, put it on YouTube, and I was getting calls from random schools in Kansas or.
All right, sorry about that, guys. We had some technical difficulties. Keenan, we were in the middle of a conversation about the recruitment process during your senior year. So let's go back to that. You mentioned about College Promoters of Texas and kind of late in the game with getting recruited, and it was your senior year. So I'll let you go ahead and take it from there. So
yeah, men's basketball is cutthroat when it comes to recruiting. You get recruited early at an early age, and when you're not good early, you're behind the game. So we tried to do the college promoters route. It was a company, they were actually in San Antonio, and they just kind of got me connected with schools like all across the country, but you don't really build a relationship with any coaches, and I didn't really want to go that route. Just going somewhere like that is just really, really random, like, in the middle of Iowa or Kansas or something that you've never even heard about or have no prior knowledge or connection to. So I remember right before one of our first scrimmages, Coach Hub came up to me, like before a soccer game. There was a soccer game at night, and he asked me, he's like, "You ever heard of Shriner University?" I'm like, "No, what's Shriner?" And he told me, coach reached out to him and was interested. And next thing you know, we have our first like preseason scrimmage at Marshall, I believe, and boom, my coach Kirkendall, he was there. He was there at the first scrimmage my senior year, and then he was at pretty much almost every game throughout my whole senior season, away, home, tournament, everything. If he couldn't make it, he'd have the head coach go or another assistant go. And then also TLU, the other D3 in the local area, was also coming for me pretty hard. So that's really all I had was, the kind of the random schools from college promoters, and then the D3 schools that didn't even use college promoters. They just kind of knew about me through the area, and that I ended up still having nothing throughout my senior year. I mean, I wasn't, a glamorous high school prospect. So my dad he discouraged me to go to the JUCO route. A lot of people go to JUCO and then try to transfer out of there. But my dad really values education and took education really serious. And I did really well in high school. I was like top 12% of the graduating class. And my dad didn't want me to go to like a 2-year school and kind of not necessarily waste time, but, take credits that may not apply everywhere else. And he really encouraged me to go the 4-year route. And I ended up deciding with Shriner University after their persistence and their drive to recruit me. And after taking a couple of visits there, that was just on my heart and went there.
Gotcha. Well, let's go back. I'm going to go back for a second because you shared your high school journey and some things that were going through my mind. So the first question I have for you is, hopefully you can be as honest and vulnerable when I ask you this question is, do you think and I said we because this was never a Coach Herrera decision. It's always a coaching staff decision. So we were all behind where we felt like you needed to be at that time. So looking back now, do you think that the decision that we made to put you on the practice squad your sophomore year was the right decision for you at that time?
I think so, absolutely. And obviously you can see how it panned out. Like, it was definitely the right decision. At the time, I don't agree with it, but from your perspective, you talked about sophomore year, I was 5'7", 5'6", 120, 130 pounds, slow, wasn't impressive. Like, and you got the other guys from football coming. I remember D'Angelo. He's shorter than me, but he was a freak athlete. And you got a couple other guards that were just good, and they're athletes in high school, and I just wasn't one of them. So
just to put things into perspective now, so people understand when we talk about a small, short, skinny, scrawny guy. Well, let's let the audience know right now. How tall are you, and how much do you weigh now?
I'm like 6'4", and average I'm like 215.
All right, 6'4", man. I don't know, man. When I look at you, man, you look more like 6'5", 6'6". But
I wish.
hey, but the body type that you have now, and the people that listen or watch this podcast, they'll see some recent pictures of you. But the way you look now is nothing like you looked back then.
Absolutely.
But I tell you what, from my perspective as a coach, and I don't know if we've had this conversation. I think we may have had this conversation though. The best part. And I'm sure a lot of coaches out there have some similar experiences that I have with you. But when you came to practice every day, you looked angry. You looked pissed off. You looked motivated. to make something happen and prove to me that you deserve to be in that spot. And because of that, that's what pushed you and drove you to become the player you are today. So that's just kind of a testament to you. But we saw it all along. We saw that determination. We saw that you come into practice angry every single day. You not only made yourself better, but you made the players around you better as well because of it. So
it's halftime.
thank you for listening to Coach Mike on the Mic. Let's Talk Hoops. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure you subscribe and click the notification button and then share it with your friends. If you're so inclined to do so, would you please rate and review this podcast so that I can help grow this community of listeners? I hope there was something that you heard today that entertained you or connected you to the game of basketball. If you'd like to be a guest or know someone who would be a great guest on the show, please comment below or reach out to me on any of my social media platforms. Until the next time we meet, the ball is now in your court. Be someone's champion today.